Good morning, everybody. It's Matcha morning with only me. I'm the Matcha man and drinking a lovely, lovely cup of matcha latte. Well, I talk today and every day that I do. This morning, I'm actually up earlier. I got woken up by my dogs at just before 6. And Tor jumped right on top of the bed. And I can't say it wasn't pleasant because it was really awesome. He rolled over and put his head on me and stuff. So it was a wonderful morning way to wake up. What to talk about this morning? Well, the last few days I've gotten, gradually over time I've gotten a little bolder in my posts. I think it started out at the beginning. I was very, very cautious, and I was also fearful about saying anything and expressing my feelings for many reasons, as you could imagine to be obvious. In situations like these, people get very freaked out and judgmental when anyone voices an opinion, regardless of why. If that opinion goes against the status quo and what people deem acceptable. But in those cases, if no one ever spoke out, over time, nothing would change ever. So I had to really think about that, and gradually I started off by trying to say things really subtly, and I don't regret that. But over time, as things progressed and more information was found, and I was able to research a lot more, I started to get a little bit frustrated with still how what seemed like the majority, but I don't know if it is the majority. I think it's more presented to seem like the majority, but what seemed like the majority were just hard fixed on this is the law, this is the rule, this is the way it is, no questions asked. Anyone that even suggests anything contrary, they're slammed with ridicule. Oh, this is an idiot speaker, or this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, or this channel is right, not left, and whatever it is, this doesn't fit into what I deem acceptable, or they'd post Snopes, and I did my research even on Snopes, and that's got biased, and the Wikipedia thing as well. I think most people watching this at this point know these things cannot be trusted, so that's pretty well a given, and I don't need to talk about that anymore. But what I found over time was my fear of being judged and the effects of that on even my career and my livelihood, and just no one likes to be not liked, right? So that fear and that concern started to be outweighed by my love of humanity, and which has always been strong. That's my motivation behind my tattooing, behind my carvings, for anyone that's followed me on that. And I thought, I've got to believe in myself at some point, or else it's never going to happen. I have to believe in myself, and I have to believe in what I have to say. I have to be careful how I say it, so it's got the best chance of being understood and not misunderstood. And so just gradually I found my voice, or I am finding my voice. So there it is. I'm taking a big go at it. I thought, I've already taken a giant leap when I moved out here, and not that everything worked out perfectly. In fact, a lot of things didn't work out as planned, but that doesn't mean it's a mistake. You have to take chances, and you have to troubleshoot, and you have to take risks, in my opinion, to move forward. I just chose very specific risks that maybe someone else might not take or even understand. And then, 4 years later, it turns out that I made a way better choice than I ever thought I had, even though finances got really difficult being so far away. So I decided that I would, a couple of years ago, that we would move back towards Toronto so that we were 2 hours from Toronto rather than 3.5 hours. source. So to sort of have our time. And that was the plan up until the whole CV thing. And I really reconsidered. And I thought, do I want to move closer just for my own reasons, or do I want to move closer just because of convenience, because of it makes it more likely that people can get to me and I don't have to keep running around traveling. So I felt like there was an either or. I had to travel all the time or move closer. And then through the CV situation, I came to believe that maybe I don't have to do either. As much as I love my interaction with my clients, could I find a way where I didn't have to depend upon a certain steady flow of income? And would I be comfortable with clients coming to me, whoever does, out this far? And I thought, yeah, I am, because still quite a few people come to me, just not enough to pay my bills. So I thought, okay, my other option is to reduce my debt or my overhead, my mortgages and things like that, my expenses. And I thought, can I do that? And Raven and I both considered the piece of land that we severed off, or it's in process now, with an old metal barn. What if we renovated that? Which has always been a fear of ours, to build our own place. We've always loved the idea, but I'm just too intimidated because of costs. And plus, no one will give you a mortgage. But now we don't want a mortgage if we can possibly handle that. So we're actually thinking of this possibility, because I'm realizing now my freedom as an artist is to, number one, of course, providing that that's what I want, is to find an environment or create an environment that is an extension of myself with no compromise, or as little as possible compromise. And the barn where we're looking at, the metal barn, is nestled in the forest. It's my favorite section of our property. And we're actually thinking of going off grid. We have the most amazing solar expert, like ever, anywhere. And he happens to live 20 minutes from here. Michael Gallo. Gallo Tech is the company. You can look him up. This guy is a robotics engineer. He's invented all kinds of things. He's taken a big leap himself 10 years ago and moved out here and couldn't get a mortgage and built his own home, cut down trees on his property, built a log home, set up all his off-grid set up and utilities all wired in. I've still got to go and have a tour of it, but he did it. He let go of a job in the city that paid really well and just took a big risk, went out by himself, and these stories are stories that should be shared, because there are people that had everything going for them and then still chose to do something what seems to a lot so radical. So anyways, long story short, this is where we're at. And also what it did as well was it started to relax the fear I had of what if I say the wrong thing, what if I upset the wrong person, even without meaning to, what if someone judges me, what if. And I was at least able to see a possible future where I didn't depend on the livelihood side of it to pay my bills. So it relaxed that, and I could then focus on how much does it affect me, what someone thinks of me. And I thought, well, if I'm speaking my truth and I'm speaking from the heart, and I know I'm not trying to cause trouble or irritate someone or distort truths or whatever, my motivations are clear. I know that I have nothing to fear. It took a long time to get to that point, but I feel really, really good within myself for reaching this point. And it's not like it's still easy to express myself fully in these kind of situations, but in all honesty, I really care about my friends. I really care about humanity, my species. This is my species. You know, these are the people that I care about, whether they're having a rocky time or not, or what. I can step back and hold back judgment and just trust that, you know, with the right people being true to themselves and expressing themselves, which is why so many artists and poets and inventors throughout time have been pivotal on the positive aspect of how humanity has grown. Although even in those cases, a lot of them, Tesla is a great example, died penniless and, you know, just all by himself, rejected because of, won't even have to mention any other people, you want to look into it. He didn't go with the flow. Goethe was another one. If you look up Goethe, you'll find that he is now labeled pseudoscience by the scientists of today. Like, you know, you could call that arrogance if you want to call it that. I don't know. His science that Rudolf Steiner and many others continued sort of falls in what now would be looked at as something between philosophy and science. It has a spiritual twist to it. Somehow spiritual is not allowed anymore in science. Science now is Newtonian science is like a science of where you dissect something and take it apart to study the little pieces, but never thinking about the whole. And doesn't that sound like our reality we're in right now? Everyone's an expert on one little piece. So that's where I am right now. I've made a few posts in the last few days. The difficult thing as well about making a controversial post is that you get a lot of people flailing and projecting and judging, and I totally understand it. It's fear. And, you know, it's like an animal threatened and in fear and cornered, like against the wall or something. They're going to lash out with everything they've got to defend whatever. And I see that as what's happening. I'm going to post something a little bit later today, sort of a Carl Jung originated thing on the shadow. And it's not just on the shadow, it goes into more depth. And I just found that this talk, I forgot the guy's name, but I'll mention it when I do the post. I don't know, I was listening to it, it was just, you know, the library angel just put it in front of me when I was on YouTube, and I listened to it yesterday evening, and it spoke to me so deeply. And I think it'll speak to you as well. And I think it's behind and above and beyond all the stuff that everyone's caught up in this CV situation. I believe that this talk describes exactly what's really going on. And that's not instead of, this is as well as, and much deeper than the physical manifestations that everyone's arguing about. This, I feel, captures exactly what's going on with all of us, for all of us. And it's a very positive and a negative thing, depending on whether people recognize this and take advantage of this and move through it, which is something we have to move through within ourselves first before we can do this with anyone else. So anyways, that you may find to be very, very mind-expanding and thought-provoking. I hope so. That's why I'm going to post it. But anyways, yeah, here I am. Got up a lot earlier than I thought because of my dogs, but it was wonderful. And just enjoying life. It's an absolutely wonderful sunny day. Like, couldn't be better. Nice breeze. I just noticed that some of the trees have
not only buds, but the one outside the window here had like little teeny leaves now. Like just suddenly that happened. I didn't see it the other day. I think it was the rain helped. So we're all here in this together in the world. And I don't believe the average, and I mean you and I, no matter what we feel and think and believe and point at, I don't believe anyone has a nasty bone in their body. I think everyone wants the best for humanity and the earth, nature, and hopefully our connection with it. But I do think that it's very, very important, imperative, in fact, that the next little while, whatever we all do in the world is going to make a massive difference on what happens. And I know a few posts around have said something along the lines of it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. And maybe some of those posts mean that the virus is going to get a lot worse before it gets better. Maybe some of those posts mean something other than that. I take it something other than that, aside from the virus situation. Hopefully it doesn't get any worse. But aside from that, I think it's everything else that's going on that, of course, people are also arguing about. And that is this, at least taking advantage, those in power, some of those in power, I'll even say, that are taking advantage of the situation to push into our freedom and take it away. And many of you, as soon as I say that, will get really upset. And that's fine. You know, controversial talk will do that. But I say it from my heart. And it's something that I really feel strongly about. And I know it's happened all throughout history. And if you want to look through the books, you'll find plenty of examples of it where power has been and freedom has been taken away and almost never given back. So it's just something to think about. Because I really want, not just for myself, I'm almost 60 years old. I'll be here for another 50 years maybe. But it's for our grandchildren and their grandchildren that are going to have a lot longer to be around. I care about them way more than I care about my next paycheck. Absolutely. And I don't want to be on my deathbed whenever that day comes thinking that I could have said something, I could have done better. And that's my motivation. Because I want a better world for everyone. But overall, there's many things that I'm happy for this situation happening that was never planned. It's just, I don't call it displacement theory, I guess. You know, when you put a rock into a container of water and the water comes out, it's not like the water necessarily was planned to come out. It's just happened beside the fact. I see a lot of benefit, a lot of potential for phenomenal growth and expansion of consciousness throughout this whole thing. We have so many gifts put right in front of us that we can take advantage of if we don't get distracted by the fear. I also find, and maybe that's because I'm an artist and because I also work with negative space so much, and I guess poets and musicians, it would be the pauses between the sounds. And with a poet would be the pauses, the way that the words are said and what's not said that says something. And with my art, it's the negative space and the patterns and the rhythm and the flow that is not as obvious, but the subconscious takes it in anyways. And that's very much how I see things, and I've been trained to see things. So it comes a little more naturally to me to think this way, and also to work from my heart and my gut, which is now becoming a lot more common because it's been brought to people's awareness, and it's no longer a weird concept. But I really do believe that these things are what are going to come with us into, I'll call it a new paradigm, a new way of seeing things. Um, and I could call that a healing process, very much so. And I think we're ready for it. We deserve this. And I don't think that we deserve something that a reality that tightens up and constricts our ability to be who we are. And I think that's really, really important. And I think anyone listening to these ideas would not argue. They might have differences of how that can come about, but I don't think anyone would, in their right mind, argue with those general principles. So that's what I've come to terms with over the last month within myself, and I feel really good. I feel much better that I'm moving closer to and learning also how to express myself and how to articulate something so that it doesn't come across the wrong way, which is also really, really important. Having, exercising that and having that confidence, and also taking the risk, that you can fail, that things can go a little bit wrong, and then you get up and you dust yourself off and you move forward. That's also important. I'm also finding that as I move, I don't know what I would call that, move closer to myself, to my heart, become better directed by something within rather than a sort of an external dependency on any kind of GPS system that's handed to me, sort of that spoon-fed idea. And I see, kind of going off on a tangent here, but I just thought I see this spoon-feeding idea takes many forms, and it's not necessarily bad. Luxuries and conveniences of the modern world. But I do see that as these conveniences come in, which you can kind of look at as a sort of a spoon-feeding idea, they're great and they allow more time for other things. But pay close attention to how, as these conveniences and luxuries come in, what comes with them? What unspoken deal are you making as you take these luxuries? Just be careful. Just try and be really aware of what these are. And it doesn't mean that you even shouldn't take them. I mean, we all have cell phones, most of us anyways. And I've thought about how can I reduce my cell phone use, and could I ever stop, and things like that. And I can't see an instant answer to that. But it is an ongoing thing that I contemplate quite often. But yeah, these conveniences and luxuries are not bad in themselves. Technology is not bad in itself. It's just, are we handing away our tacit approval as we take these gifts, and then quite often become dependent or addicted on them? I don't have answers. They're just things that I think about all the time and reevaluate all the time. It's just the whole CV situation, just put a magnifying glass on everything, like everything. And gave me a massive amount of clarity and a massive amount of confusion as well. But that confusion was I feel like it was a push on me that I had to learn how to let go to and process. And this is where this talk on the shadow comes up, that I think is very relevant today and in our situation. And I think it'll be very, very valuable for any of you to watch and just to think about. It's not telling anyone what to think. I'm just hoping to provoke some thought. And hopefully for all of us, any of us, dislodge some of the logs in the logjam kind of thing You know, we can all use that at various times, and it's a natural phenomenon where things sometimes get jammed and they have to be kind of prodded to loosen up and get moving again. So anyway, that's more or less my train of thought for today. I had no idea what I was going to talk about, but I'm finding now that I just turn the camera on and just find out what words come to me, and it's getting a little easier each time. So I'll be posting that other video and a little introduction to it. Wonderful guy. I'll have his name on there, as I mentioned when I post it. Great accent. It really works well, and very profound. He has great things to share. I haven't subscribed to his channel, but I think I will. I'm curious what else he posts and talks about. I'm not even sure. I haven't even checked his background, but he must be some kind of he must work in that profession in some way. So stay tuned for that, and hang in there and do whatever feels the best. And if you identify places where you're stuck or you're holding on, old holding patterns, I just recommend that you recognize or look at those places and just be aware of them. And maybe just by keeping your awareness, like keeping your heart on those issues, you don't have to solve anything, but just by keeping your heart open and on that, quite often that will dissolve blocked emotions and feelings, and they'll start to move, and you'll start to get answers. Answers come from within here. Always. Answers come from within here. Then from there you can cross-check them with other theories and beliefs and truths and facts and whatever else. It's always great to get back up. That's why we have community, is to find out someone shares a similar idea or feeling, or has a slight objection to something, and then by chatting you come up with new ideas and revisions. So anyways, I hope everyone has an awesome day. I hope it's sunny everywhere, and I'm gonna go out and, no, actually I'm gonna have breakfast, and then I'm going to walk my dogs, and then I think I've done as much as I can on the my portal door project. Although I do have some information I want to post on the symbolism of the door in spirituality. So maybe I'll do that today as well. That might be something. But otherwise, I think I might work. I can't do any chainsawing because I couldn't get chainsaw boots. And I can't peel the paint off my doors because I couldn't get buy anything to do that with. So I think it most likely means that I'm going to be working most of the day on my bear carving, which is absolutely amazing. I'm not arguing with that. I just thought it'd be neat working on the doors because I could be outside and carving with my little machines. It's a bit difficult to do it outdoors, but I'll just have to take breaks often and go out and sit with the dogs and hang out and stuff. So everybody have a wonderful, wonderful day, and stay real. You'll see my posts, but I'll see you tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.